Hi guys, it's about that time. It's book report time. Before we get started on our actual book report and working through it, I wanted us to look at this brain pop video together.
Hey Moby, I'm really into this book. It's about two kids who solve a mystery. I think I'll do my book report on it. A book report is a piece of writing that describes a book and shares your thoughts about it. How do you prepare to write a book report? First, you've got to read the book carefully. In this book, two kids hear strange noises as they walk past an old creepy house, and they wonder if it's haunted. I like to take notes about the characters, setting, and plot as I read. I also write questions, make predictions, and describe how the book makes me feel. Definitely makes me feel scared and excited. I also like to mark pages that have important details. Sometimes, if my book is short, I'll read it again to make sure I didn't miss anything. A book report has three main parts: an introduction, the body, and a conclusion. How do you write an introduction? An introduction is a sentence or paragraph at the beginning of a piece of writing that explains what you're going to write about. The introduction should include the title of the book and the author's name. It should also describe what kind of book it is, like science fiction, fantasy, biography, or mystery. My book is definitely a mystery. Your introduction should also include why you chose the book for your report. The Secret of the Old House by May Davis is a scary and exciting mystery. I chose this book because I love reading mysteries. I like looking for clues like a real detective. I try to solve the mystery before the characters do. Right, Moby. You always underline the title of a book. And don't forget to capitalize the author's name. After the introduction, you write the body of the report, which includes a summary of the book. What is a summary? A summary is a short explanation or review of something. A summary of a book quickly describes the characters, setting, and what happens in the story. I like to use a story map to help me summarize the book. It shows the setting, characters, the problem in the story, big events that happen, how the problem gets solved, and how the story ends. Right, Moby. You should only mention the most important events in the story. Then I use my story map to help me write the body of my report. In this book, two kids hear strange noises as they walk past an old house. A man named Mr. Lee lives there, and he's not very nice. The kids think Mr. Lee makes the noises to scare people away from his house. Later, they discover it's a family of raccoons that is making the noises. After you've finished writing the body, you write the conclusion. How do you write a conclusion? A conclusion is a sentence or paragraph that ends a piece of writing and sums up your thoughts. The conclusion of a book report can include your opinion about the book. Well, did you like the book? Why or why not? How did the story make you feel? What did you learn from the book? You can write your response or how you reacted to the book in your conclusion. I loved this book because it made me feel scared and excited. The writer used a lot of details, and I made pictures in my mind as I read. I could not wait to learn what happened next. This is one of my favorite mystery books because the ending really surprised me. Once you're done writing, you've got to look over your book report. I make sure all the events are in the right order, and then I edit and proofread for spelling and grammar mistakes. So, what book are you doing your book report on, Moby? Hey!
So our book report is not that deep in depth. What we are doing is we're simply given the questions and we're going to fill them out. Right now, I'm going to read the whole book. We've gone over the book in different parts, but now I'm going to reread the whole book, and then we'll go over each page of your book report together. And then at the end of this Nearpod, you'll be able to finally complete your book report. The rubric for the book report will be found at the end of the Nearpod slides. A rubric it tells you how the report will be graded, which means neatness, complete sentences, correct answers are very important because they're going to make or break you when it comes to your grade. So now I'm going to reread You and the U.S. Government. So let's go back to the first page. You and the U.S. Government by Jennifer Pryor. Jennifer Pryor overran Pryor. So we're just going to put by Jennifer Pryor. When it asks you for the author is found right here. The title is right here. You and the U.S. Government by Jennifer Pryor. If you look over here, you'll find the table of contents. This is important. It may be one of the questions in your book report. A good government. One person can do great things, but when people work together, they can do even bigger things. A good government helps people work together, work and live together. It keeps people safe, and it makes the laws that help a country run smoothly. There are different types of government. The United States government is a democracy. This means that the United States citizens vote or choose their leaders. Citizens are people who belong to a country. The Constitution. America declared its independence or freedom in 1776. It had to fight in a war called the American Revolution. This was a war with Great Britain for America's freedom. In 1783, the United States won the war. A new country was born. The new country needed laws. It also needed fair government. In 1787, Americans' leaders wrote the Constitution. This document says the government should work. This document says how the government should work. It is the main set of laws for our country. It tells how people should choose leaders. It explains how much power the government can have and how it should run. The three branches. Our government is made up of three branches. They are like legs on a stool. Each leg is different, but they are all part of the same stool. If one leg is taken away, the stool will not stand. The U.S. government, each branch balances the other, and each branch makes sure the other branches do their job well. Every branch has an important role to play, but no branch has too much power. The three branches are the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. The executive branch. Every group needs a leader. Things work better when someone is in charge. A principal leads a school. A coach leads a team. The president is the leader of our country. The executive branch is made up of the president and the vice president. The executive branch makes laws. Executive branch makes sure laws are followed. The president approves new laws. He or she makes big decisions for a country. The vice president if the vice president becomes president if the president can no longer do the job. Sorry, guys. The legislative branch. Citizens need citizens need people to represent them in the government. So they vote for representatives. They make sure the government meets the citizens' needs. The representatives make up the legislative branch. There are two parts of the legislative branch. There is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Together, they are called Congress. Congress writes laws. A new idea for a law is called a bill. A certain number of representatives need to vote for a bill. Then the bill is sent to the president to approve. The judicial branch. Congress is careful when writing new laws, but sometimes it is hard to know when a law is unfair or when it has been broken. The judicial branch makes sure the laws are fair. The judicial branch is made up of judges. It is their job to listen to arguments about laws. They decide when laws are being broken. They are also make sure laws are follow the Constitution. Laws. Imagine there were no laws. Don't want to do that. That's scary. If there were no laws, then there would be no order. People might make poor choices. Laws say how fast cars can drive and how old a person needs to be to vote. Laws help protect people and keep them safe. It is important for people to follow laws. The government makes sure laws are followed. It decides what the consequences are if people do not follow laws. People may have to pay fines. This means they give money to the government, or they may have to spend time in jail. Government services. The government provides many services. These services are open to the public. This means that everyone can use them. The government pays for many schools, libraries, and parks. Students can learn in public schools for free. People can read books from a library for no charge. Kids can play in public parks without having to pay money. These services are for everyone in the community to use. Emergency services are also paid by the government. This includes police officers and firefighters. If you are in danger, you can ask them for help. They keep people safe. Public transportation is a government service too. Public transportation includes things such as buses and trains. The government also pays for the roads and the rails on which the buses and trains ride. Taxes. All these government services cost money. In most states, people pay taxes on things they buy. For example, if you buy a book, you may pay a few extra cents in taxes. The extra cost is a tax. The money goes to the government to pay for services. Every adult who makes money pays taxes. Taxes make things cost more money, but taxes pay for many things we use every day. Everyone votes. Every vote counts. In the United States, we choose our government leaders by voting. The people who get the most votes wins. They get to be the leaders. They represent the citizens of our country. Citizens are over 18 years old. Citizens over 18 years old can vote. It is important that every citizen votes. Voting lets us choose the people who will make decisions for our country. If people do not like the choices the leaders make, they can vote for a new leader. You may be too young to vote, but that does not mean you are too young to make a difference. Talk with your family. Find out what they think about the government. Make sure the adults you know are ready to vote. Tell them why it's important to vote. There are many ways to be a good citizen. Learn about services that are important to you. Follow laws of the country. Help others in need. Good citizens make a great country. Try it. Get involved. Make a list of 3 things you can do to be a good citizen. Share your list with a parent. Have an adult help you do one thing on the list. Now we have our glossary. Glossary: citizens, members of a country. Consequences: the results or effects of someone's actions and choices. Democracy: a form of government in which people choose leaders by voting. Document: an official paper that gives information about something. Emergency: an unexpected and unusual, dangerous situation that calls for urgent help. Government: a group of leaders who make choices for a country. Judges: people who have power to make decisions on cases brought before a court. Representatives: people who act or speak for another person or group. Transportation: cars, trucks, buses, and other moving vehicles. Index: index talks about specific topics in the book and where you can find them. Index: Constitution is on page 6 through 7 and on page 15. Emergency services is on page 20. Executive branch can be found on pages 8 through 11 and on page 32. The judicial branch it can be found on pages 8 through 9, page 14 through 15, and page 32. The legislative branch can be found on 8 through 9 and 12 through 13 and page 32. The president can be found on page 9 through 11 and 13. Taxes can be found on pages 22 through 23. Voting can be found on page 5, 13, 16, 24 through 26. Three branches. In this book, you learned about three branches of government: the executive branch and the legislative branch and judicial branch. Tell a friend one thing you've learned about each branch of our government. Now, guys, we're going to stop this, and I'm going to pull up the book report, and let's find this book report. Reading and book report. Oh no, I can't find the book report. Okay. Let's go. Oh, let me cut this off.
Power off.
Let's go here. Here we go. I'm gonna share my screen with you. Okay. So this is a nonfiction book report. So here on this page of the Nearpod, you're going to put your name. You're going to put a picture. It can be a screenshot or something you've drawn. And you're going to put the title of the book, the author of the book. And I chose this book because Ms. Clark is going to tell you what to write there. I chose this book because we are talking about or discussing government in our class. The next page, the topic I researched, you're going to put here, the government. Now, the next question says, before I read about my topic, I already knew. So here you're going to write something you already knew about the government. Some nonfiction text features I noticed while reading. Highlight or circle any you find. So, was there a table of contents? Were there photographs? Were there diagrams? Were there labels? Were there headings? Were there keywords? Were there charts, maps, captions, glossary, and index? If so, you're going to take a highlighter and highlight all the text features that was in the book. A new word that I learned from the text. You're going to put a new word that you learned from the book. And then here you're going to write what that word means. And then here you're going to use that word in a sentence. Then it says, here are 4 interesting facts that I learned about my topic. So here you're going to put 4 interesting facts that you learned about the government. You can screenshot a picture of the page you find it on and then write it down at the bottom, or you can draw a picture and then write it at the bottom. Once you are done, you're going to hit the submit button and you're going to exit out the Nearpod. Good luck, guys. Don't forget to take a look at the rubric at the end of the Nearpod.